In the last 20 years, many different cloning methods were developed in alternative to the standard restriction and the ligation cloning approach. In this presentation, I would like to compare three different methods: the standard restriction ligation cloning approach with the topo cloning and the pipe cloning. So, how you can see from the slide, traditional restriction ligation cloning methods, that is still maybe one of the most used cloning method. It's required to perform many steps, so it's quite time consuming. Require a specific vector that contains the multi-cloning sites and is not applicable to all the genes, because you have to carefully choose a couple of restriction enzymes that are not digest your gene. On the other hand, differently to traditional restriction ligation, topo cloning is very simple, but it requires a specific kit that makes the system very expensive. And sometimes the gene insertion happens in the opposite direction, so when you are using topo cloning, you have to carefully check the sequence, screening a lot of colony to be sure that you obtain the fragment in the correct orientation. The third method, pipe cloning, developed by Novartis about 10 years ago, from my point of view is very intriguing because it's very simple. It's just required to perform two different PCR, the insert PCR and the vector PCR. After this, you can just mix the two PCR in a appropriate E. coli strain, and that's all. You don't need to perform any purification, digestion, but it's a ligase or enzyme-free cloning method, very fast and very simple. It's also quite cheap because you don't need enzyme, you don't need the purification kits. In this slide I reported the standard PCR cycle that I'm using, and of course the annealing temperatures can change dependence from your primer and dependence also from the attack that you're using. You can use a lot of different attack. Generally important is that, especially for the PCR, you have to use a polymerase that is high fidelity, that is not able to add poly A at the end of the PCR fragment, and if it's possible, a polymerase able to perform 3', 5' reverse isonuclease activity, that it can improve the formation of the incomplete primer extension and therefore increase the efficiency for the pipe reaction. After PCR, you can mix the ePCR with the PCR and transform in the E. coli. Pipe cloning is theoretically applicable to any vector, but vector containing CCDB, as for example the predestination vectors should be used for the gateway cloning approach, are optimal template for the VPCR because the presence of the CCDB is able to reduce the background due to the template vector to 0. On the other hand, when we are using a plasmid that is not containing the CCDB, we can use other strategy to remove the background. One possibility is use the DPNAI digestion, because DPNAI is able to digest the methylated DNA, so it's digested template, the plasmid template extracted with mini kit from E. coli culture that is methylated but is not able to digest your PCR. Pipe cloning could be applied also to produce a single point mutagenesis. In this case, you don't need to buy any specific kit, but you can just design two primer containing the mutation and perform a VPCR, digest the reaction with DPNA1 and transform your plasmid into the E. coli strain. In the same way, we can easily also perform a deletion or insertion of a small fragment, maximum length about 15-20 amino acid. So here you can find some nice reference for pipe cloning. What is important to know is that not all the E. coli strains are able to perform pipe cloning, and To my knowledge, one of the best commercial strains for pipe cloning are Mach1 from Turbo Scientific. I'm really grateful to Roberto Petracca because during my time in Novartis in 2009 introduced me to the amazing world of pipe cloning, and thanks to pipe cloning I really was able to produce a lot of different clones, perform dilation, gene fusion, mutagenesis, and I was really able to produce many clones that before knowledge of pipe cloning I was never even able to imagine.